Welcome back to another reaction for the Ghost in the Shell episode 6.
今マイクロマシーン B パーツ群を高速頭部にインジェクションしてますからね。相馬さん、おのあたり痛
Rainy, oh fuck's sake.
くないですか？
だから鎮痛薬よこせって言ってるだろうが。
その分払えばね。
その B パーツの約7割がさっき注入した A パーツの際
Undergoing reverse absorption via Van der Waals
ト
force.
にファンデルワールス力で可逆的吸着。数マイクロ秒でポリマーを合成しイオン結合し定着するのだよ。
なんだと？じゃあ3割分払い戻すんだろうな。
パターンコントロールではタイトに作るとシステムがうまく働かない。遊びが必要なの。
古いマイクロマシンは除去しないのか？
あんたみたいに定着しきっとる場合、無理やり引き剥がすと脳細胞をバキバキに痛めるからね。次に磁気マトリックスで各座標のマイクロマシンが後頭骨固定のトランスとネットするようにセットする。
Okay. What is this part? What are we looking here?
古いマイクロマシンは除去しないのか？
システムがうまく働かない。
だろうな。
パターンコント
This real system engineering standpoint, the very concept of waste does not exist.
遊びが必要なの。
They detach with the application of a centrifugal force of 5 times 10 to the minus force power thin cell, and are then
あんたみたいに定
extracted
着しきっとる場合、無
using magnetism, discharging them from the body through the
理やり引き
bloodstream.
剥がすと脳細胞をバキバキに 痛めるからね。
Unsuitable due to the presence of blood-brain barrier. There was another one, right? Charged minor machines are injected by means of electrical repulsion. An induction machine used to ensure micro machines are distributed uniformly rather than settling in one spot. Okay. I mean, it's clearly on the screen. I feel like people would want a little bit of a translation for that, but sure.
骨固定のトランスとネットするようにセットする。操作線がマイクロマシンのサイズに合わせて増える分、時間がかかる。これで脳内に充満したマイクロマシンが脳の状態や電気信号の分布を送受信できるのだよ。感覚の共有は感覚神経で、思考や記憶の場合は信号分布と特定のイメージとに個人差があって伝わりがたいから言語や視覚を併用するようセットした。電脳のオンオフや各機能のオンオフにも言語やを使う。内頸動脈の一部を吸収性ステープルでセーブしている。それが溶血してなくなる頃には脳圧も正常値に戻り、パンパンに張った感じも取れるし、鎮痛プラントも溶けきったあるよ。
Why are you not translating that? Come on.
電脳のオンオフや各機能のオンオフにも言語やを使う。内頸動脈の一部を吸収性ステープルでセーブしている。
This is extremely dangerous. Wow. Was it that hard to just put at the top?
最後に張った感じも取れるし、鎮痛プラントも溶けきっとるよ。最後にモデルイメージとシンクロするかどうかテストを。
必要ねえよ先生。俺がネットしたかったものと。
Quite honestly, did not follow much of this. I'm assuming he got a clone, and that is what the syncing up stuff is. Now, what I do find interesting because even though the brain is similar person to person in the grand scheme, like the heart, like the lungs, the neurons and stuff, how stuff is formed inside your brain is different. You have different, because every neuron or whatever, all the little bits and pieces in your brain, they react to different stimuli and they give you different effects depending on how they are fired, in what order and connections. Like playing back a memory. There are specific neurons that are going to fire off, and when you remember a memory. This is you remembering the memory. It's like, okay, neuron 354, bam, memory recalled. However, the same neurons or similar neurons on a different brain would have a totally different effect. Which is a little bit of an interesting idea, because they were like, okay, if we wanted to transfer memories and stuff from your clone to yourself or either way around, it doesn't really work that well. Again, because if you activate the same neurons at the same positions, even if they are there at all, it could have a different effect, because the other person grew up differently, had a different development, made different experiences, the neurons grew differently, they react differently. Now, I don't really know how exactly the brain works, but from what I remember, it's just essentially like a super advanced computer system where you have like bits and pieces stored in every neuron and they are connected, and that is why whenever you remember a specific part, you then remember connecting memories to that part, because that is how the neurons connect. There's stuff like that. That is why knowledge bridges work so well, like rhymes, stuff like that. To remember specific measurements, like the miles to feet stuff. There's like a specific sentence you can remember, and that one works so well because if you do that over and over again, the neurons build up, and whenever you remember, like a tomato, you remember the rhyme. This means you remember the measurements and how they relate to one another. At least this is, as far as I remember, the brain somewhat working.
うまくシンクロしてるようだからな。
But it is interesting to assume that, your memory, your brain, whenever it remembers something, if you copied the same signal to a different brain, they would have a totally different experience. Dumb butter. Oh.
午後には帰れると思うけど。
Who are you talking to? This sounds like we had a good time. The whole music was very, in the background. We are Netflix and chilling
服
stuff.
装から察して秘密のサモン会か君のクラブで軍人会ってとこだな。
つまらない詮索で二人の関係をこじらせたい？
休暇はタイトすぎるよ。それとも君まで一家はザルだと思ってる
4階のサビタさんだわ。
静寂を求める。
Oh, I was like, how do you know that? She connected, I guess, to the camera. Now, also, he makes it sound like she's in some kind of club? So, like a hostess or whatever? No, okay. We will see. Maybe she's already dead. Who knows? So no reason to try to find out what exactly these people are.
制作を求める自称漫画家の
昨晩ちょっと騒
And maybe you did.
昨晩ちょっと騒ぎすぎたかな。
Yeah, they're both dead, right? I'm assuming this was. I'm assuming. Okay, she did get hurt. I'm assuming she was not part of a club, and this outfit is not for like a hostess club because she's going full American police on this guy. Mag dump, another mag dump. Oh, wow. Wow, interesting. First off, okay. What is interesting is he has a bomb, but to make it more effective, he has nails. So he essentially made a de facto shrapnel bomb, which is an interesting tidbit. Did you need the shrapnel? If you just level the whole floor, you don't really need the screws, do you?
テロリストは殺せても次々新顔が出てきます。それを完全に把握するにはグループ壊滅よりコントロールすることです、サントス中佐。しかし一部を容認することになりますし、我が国での軍、麻薬、テロ、マフィア、悪徳警官の連携は巨大で暴走も多い。真偽より高価ですよ。失礼。
Resides before principles. Interesting. Like the idea of the end justifies the means. I can see merit in the idea. There are examples where you are like, okay, I can see how we could be okay with the means, but you probably also know examples where you are like, yeah, we shouldn't do that. I mean, the first thing that came to mind was something, everything involving children, where it's like, you know what, the ends don't really justify the means. Maybe we should just get rid of this instead of being like, oh, we caught you kind of deal. But in other cases, I can see why we would be like be more lenient to a person, so you get information that is going to give you the masterminds behind the scenes. I can see that as an example.
草薙のベッドで08が進行中。対応 C 終了。
08 in progress at Kusanagi's bed. I don't really know who Kusanagi is. I don't remember.
対応 C 終了。対応 B 進行中。指示を。
一番近い空港と港を封鎖し、本庁を呼び出せ。全員に警戒を出して待機。病院にはわしとバトが行く。
I don't assume it's our girl, right?
石川、現場検証の主導権は
こっちが先に。
よし。バト、一回第4手術室。
ね、時間までぴったりでしょ。休暇の方が早かった。
今日はついてないよ。
ダメよそれ。焦げてるじゃない。
ああ、無事なら無事と言わんかバカ者。
俺疲れたよ。部長、所見報告を。
30秒待て。
Isn't this our girl? It is, right? I'm so bad with names. Kusanagi. Main protagonist. Yeah, it is her. You have a man? Or is this like a fling on the side? To be honest, I don't know if this man is part of the group or not. I already forgot most of the people. Because you had a lot of fun with your girlfriends, and I was assuming, wrongly, I guess, that maybe that is where your primary interest lies. But, you know, maybe you are just like, hey, I just want a little bit of fun. Now it also makes sense why you were such a badass.
後で電話するわ。
いや悪いですな。
バトやめて。
お前あの野郎と7ヶ月も続いてるじゃん。記録更新だぜ。
いいですか部長。まずドアの外に10番ゲージのショットシェル1個、うちにセブロ M5 の薬莢12個。
ここでこのポーズで撃ったんだな、少佐は。
そしてドアの外に死体と C4 爆弾、片面コート処理で周囲はねじ釘だらけ。少佐は無事でしょ。わざと伏せさせといて嫌がらせですね。
石川、帰りは別の車を使え。
少佐も星は奴だと思うか。
心当たりが
あるわ。かつて私たちが暗殺し損ねた唯一の男、テロリストの相馬徹。
なぜそう思う？
同じ手法で奴の仲間を6人殺したのよ。奴も死ぬはずだった。私は部下を2人殺された報復で奴に自分の息子を撃たせた。
Okay. I mean, I guess it showcases that our girl, I mean, she's not necessarily a good person. Even though she essentially is doing stuff for the greater good. At least that is the idea. You never know because you are essentially just being pointed in a direction and you're hoping it is a good one. But yeah, having him shoot his own son is a little bit fucked up.
ドア越しにね。息子は16だったけど、部下の拷問に加わったことを自慢してたわ。爆破後、奴の死をより完全なものにするため部屋に入ったけど、そこにはアームスーツの足跡しかなかった。4年前の話よ。なものにするため部屋に入ったけど、そこにはアームス
Armsuit, a type of bullet and fireproof
ーツの
suit.
足跡しかなかった。
It completely covers the
4年
user.
前の話よ。
That's it?
復讐の宣戦布告か。よし、その線で押してみる。石川、相馬のいたグループにもコントローラーがついてるはずだ。接触しろ。バトーは武器の売人を当たれ。
待って部長。そりゃこの場合、私を外すのが定石かもしれないけど。
寝ぼけるな。餌を外して釣りません。お前はあちこち嗅ぎ回れ。距離を置いてトグサにバックアップさせる。わしは部下思いだからな。我が子のように大事に思っとるぞ。
Cap.
せめて孫と思って。
ちっくしょう暴力女め。俺も全身サイボーグ化すっかな。
I mean, so far it doesn't sound too bad. Now, this essentially, this episode is going to be about these guys probably dying or, you know, getting in danger. Not dying, but getting into danger because of her.
一回第4手術室。
ハンドはえ俺意外と器用なんだぜ。やばそうなら呼んでくれ。
抜かったぜ。爆弾仕掛けられたかな。
テロやがり。どうせ休日は台無しになったとこなんで。
Oh, yeah, you are dead. Yeah, yeah. 7 months. New record. But he's dead, right?
ええ、30分で行きます。
質問に答えてくれる？私の写真を誰かに見せたことある？名前や住所を知る者が存在する。
こんなことは言いたくないが、嘘もつきたくない。
一家で私をチェックしたのね。
部下の女房が4年間テロ屋に情報を流し続けてたことがあって以来の慣習。
I mean, totally understandable. So he's like a security guy, or you know, part of like some higher. Yeah, they did talk about their sections. I can definitely see how you are going to develop this person, not personality, but these ideas. Similar if you are like involved in cybersecurity, you always hear that of people who are in cybersecurity, that they're like, you know, if there's a camera, they're like, okay, I have to do a physical block, I have to, no, I'm not going to do X, Y, Z, I'm not going to install this or use these types of network devices, because they don't trust these, they know what people do with those, and I guess in this case, he's like, whenever he has a new person coming into his life, he's doing a background check, which not really a bad idea, I feel like. Depending, I mean, I assume most people wouldn't be discriminating against other people. He just wants to be safe. That whoever he's getting involved with is not like this woman was leaking into a terrorist for hire or some other shady stuff.
一課課長と2人の部下が君の情報を持ってる。
いいのよ。休暇でもあなたのこと調べたもの。
I mean, for her, it also makes sense. What is this? This is not the first time we do this, right? He's like running and then walking? Yeah, but he's going to die, right? Because of the whole revenge thing.
なことしてみろ。松代までバカ呼ばわりされるぜ。何車ばらしとんじゃ。どけんかい。うるせえ。こっちだって命がけでやってんだ。
I mean, you could have just moved your car.
彼氏、一般人ならよかったのにな。一般人ならよかったのにな。
No.
そうかもね。
Because then he would already be dead.
次の角。
Now the idea is that maybe she wouldn't have been found out. But this also means that the people that also know that from your guy that we're checking up on you, that they somehow leaked your information, which I feel like is not that much better. If the really high ups like that leaked information.
左折。もう一回左折。
The classic, you just move, you go left on like 4 corners, and if the person is still behind you, they clearly follow you.
1台ついてくるわね。
Didn't you go left? Why is he coming from the right? Is that mirrored? Yeah. Never mind. He's also going... He's not going left. No, he's going right. Doesn't really matter, does it?
1台ついてくるわね。気づいて仕掛けてくるわよ。
一番近い人通りのないところは？
次で右折して右の車線で飛ばして、南へ15分ででかい廃工場があるわ。
なんか E 級テレビドラマみたいだな。
淵駒連れてる？
今90メートル後方を走りながら尾行車に照準してる。ずっとつけてたんだな。なぜ救急車や病院で仕掛けてこなかったんだろう。
長距離用の武装がないか、手応え十分にやりたいかどちらかね。とにかく廃工場で後ろの連中から情報をもらいましょう。来た来た。
誰だ？
高額明細で来る客はみんな警察だろ。予約通り公安休暇だ。情報をくれ。
近頃組織に抱き込まれた軍や警察の連中も多いからな。で、
相馬徹、
雲隠れに飽きてついにのこのこ出てきたか。弁天一家と銃撃戦でもやったか。
あんたがグループのバックアップ仕切ってるって聞いたんだが。
相馬は別さ。奴はお山の対象タイプでグループを通さず直接弁天一家と取引したがってた。麻薬、武器、人材その他。だが弁天は相手にしなかった。グループとのパイプの方が太くて安定しているからだ。我々が知る一番新しい相馬徹の顔だ。弁天も奴のことはよく思ってないから潜伏は自前だろ。それ以上は分からん。
So this sounds like this guy is in control of like some of the underground factions, like they were saying, but not the guy we want to find. So the guy we wanted to find was from the beginning, that had like a clone, supposedly clone.
ホタルは気楽だな。
ホタル？
Oh, Fireflies comes from how the suits of people sitting at a desk all day become worn and shiny. Is there the other the subtitles? No. This time they did it in the right subtitles.
工場の図面、改築前のものみたい。
いいよ。どうせすぐ肩がつく。淵駒もいるしね。
ダメよトムさん。たとえ相手が小学生でも全力投球しなきゃ。あらあら、小学生どころかかなり高度に訓練された連中ね。作戦指揮はダメだけど。
びっくりさせんなよおっちゃん。
どうかしたか？
なんだ
俺たちは勝ちどかねえぞ。
少しの間隠れてて。
よし下ろせ。
トグさん。
I guess they have like combat robots or something.
トラックを破壊しろ。今すぐ。ホーム、完全武装の淵駒最低4体を緊急でよこして。
少佐、
まだ動くなら死んだふりさせといて。人間の少ないところに移動するわよ。
俺これ知ってます。兵器ショーで見ました。ドイツ製の指向戦車っす。オツムは日本製ですけど。データ揃えろ。
So this is what he synchronized with. Okay.
少佐とトグさんやばいっすよ。敵が重装備すぎる。防衛庁特殊兵器課の宮崎主任を呼び出せ。斉藤は戦車の製造数、販売先と盗難の有無を急げ。どうする少佐。
ボーマとパズが到着するまで時間を稼ぐのよ。車で工場の端まで行けば歩兵は負けるわ。それにしても敵は相馬と仲間だけじゃなさそうね。非合法とは思えないほど組織化、重武装した連中だわ。
相馬に手を貸してる合法組織がある。
嫌な山になりそうね。砲弾処理車が HV 系の弾か。
HV rounds, huh? High velocity armor piercing bullet.
HV 系の弾か。
Really, that was all there, I guess.
トゲさん、車から離れろ。
I'm surprised that they are attacking her. I assumed they would go after her boyfriend. Sounds like the Gauss cannons. Are they called Gauss, right? Of like the Sana what? A10? A10. Right? So they sound like that. Are those really high caliber ones?
屋根伝いに移動すれば奴との距離を保てる。そこが厚い分重すぎて登れないのよ。特に薄い壁や天井にはね。
This is an ally. Why is he here?
なぜ元子がこんなところに。一体どうなってる。
本部部長に大至急伝えて。敵は公安一家。公安一家よ。
本部より草薙部長は現在公安一課長のところへ。あら、
貴様の課の戦車だ。照合したぞ。今わしの部下を追い回しとるやつだ。
おや、まあそうかね。
I mean, if politics could work this way, this would be so good. Like, oh, yeah, it seems. What do you mean? And then just pull out a gun because we don't need this bullshit.
今すぐ引かせろ。今すぐにだ。
待て、冷静に。
You have 5 seconds, or you get a bullet in your head. That is a lot of time.
わかった、引かせる。引かせる。全員撤退。作戦中止。撤退しろ。
それから事情を説明してもらおうか。ことと次第によってはただでは済まさんからな。
アナコンダの実名と証拠が手に入る作戦だったんだぞ。
麻薬王アナコンダか。南米の幽霊と言われてる。
And how is that going to? How are you going to get this by attacking Section 9?
草薙元子と交換したんだ。
相手は相馬徹だな。奴は弁天一家に無視された腹いせにグループの取引相手であるアナコンダを売ろうとした。公安一家と取引できれば草薙を探すのもわけない。
アナコンダは弁天を潰し、我々はアナコンダを抑え、相馬は草薙を得る。
お前だ。
That sounds like an awful plan.
たちの作戦じゃない。相馬の作戦だ。今どこに
Also, who is going to guarantee you he's going to deliver Anaconda to you?
奴は我々を信じていない。飛行戦車に乗っている。
今回の件についてはいずれ十分な支払いをしてもらうからな。斉藤、ここに残ってこいつを監視しろ。
聞いたが、撤退だと。相馬の野郎はどうする？部長、撤退命令聞かなかったんですか？話せ！相馬を止めるんだ。でも命令は元子がやられちまう。車にミサイル積んでるから持ってこい。もう待て、撃つな。終わったんだ。ゲームオーバーだよ。終わっただと。所長。
Oh, I was like, what do you mean Motoko is going to be killed? He means the think tank. He needs to get rid of the tank.
やっとで玉切れか。
部長、よこせ。俺がやる。相馬だ。ミサイル積み込むの見てて細工しやがった。くそ。元子。間に合った。捜査。
Is that the real Soma? Why didn't you just capture him? Isn't he also a big guy to capture? Instead of dealing with him?
Huh?
バイバイテロリスト。この世の中が嫌いなら二度とあの世から出てくるな。
どこでそんなものを？
突起のミヤさんが貸してくれた少佐のフレームガタガタですぜ。
トグサを病院に。出血がひどい。
ひどいなりだな、草薙。
一課長が乗せられてたっていつわかった？
戦車の線をたどって一課長から話を聞いた時だ。相馬は多分一家が乗ってきそうなネタを仕入れるために弁天一家と接触してたんだろう。相馬が実際にアナコンダを知っていたかは疑わしいな。
しかし、もし事実なら我々は大物を逃したことになりますよ。
我々はじゃない、一家はだ。
That's true.
今朝私、制服を着てたでしょ？ある国の公安大臣と乾杯するためだったのよ。アナコンダ暗殺作戦の成功を祝ってね。
So Anaconda is even dead. You did this whole thing for nothing. Now the question is, was this the real Soma? Didn't he have like a... It sounded like he has a clone. All this betrayal and work for nothing. Fantastic.
今夜、公安部の一課長がひき逃げに遭い、重体になった模様です。
おやさん、鍵ここに返しとくね。
Is this a renticle? It doesn't look in a good condition. Bye-bye, Clay. Yeah, it always feels like there's more to these altercations than there really is. Because again, at the beginning, it looked like he had like a clone, but maybe this was him being integrated into the think tank. I don't know. But yeah, is the idea to be like, okay, Anaconda is getting rid of the Benton family, and Soma is going to sell out Anaconda. So we give Soma something in return, so we get Anaconda. It's like, really? You are making deals with terrorists for no guarantee, no reason really. Instead of just capturing Soma. A little bit weird, but that is why we have Section 9, because they can do stuff that Section 1 seemingly is unable to do.